What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got some Mafia 4 leaks to talk about. Now, really quickly, before I even get into them, I was thinking about Mafia a few days ago. I was like, you know what? What a game. What a franchise. What an experience we had last year. I really came into the spotlight, I feel like, on YouTube, where I've never really covered. I covered it a little bit before that, but, you know, obviously I took the plunge last year into covering Mafia, and I don't regret it. It was an amazing thing. I know I still have a lot of people that follow me because of Mafia, and I greatly appreciate all of that. So Mohammed over on Twitter, which thank you so much for sending me this, and while I'm saying that, make sure if you guys ever see anything that you want me to talk about, if you want me to make a video on something, you guys can send it my way. Twitter, you can try and do in the comments here. But if you want to follow me over on Twitter, Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. Links in the description below. Would really appreciate you guys following me there, as well as subscribing and hitting the bell here. As you can tell, we're getting very close to 50K subscribers, and we can do it. We can do it very soon, but we need all of you guys that are not subscribed, which there are a lot, to subscribe. All right, let's get into it. So thank you, Mohammed, for sending me it. Now, this comes from Reddit. So as always with Reddit, you take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it's got a decent amount of upvotes. Like, it doesn't really seem like there's anything that is shockingly wrong or bad with what they said. At the same time, I don't know how many people are running around Reddit knowing all this stuff. Because it's just, if you want to believe it, you have every right to. If you don't want to believe it, you have every right to do that as well, okay? So, actually, I didn't read the first sentence, okay? And now I'm reading it, and now I feel stupid that I just said that, because they started off by saying, I have a close relative who works at ESRB for Canada, reviewing text scripts for games, subtitles mostly. Most properties are sent in as code names in the publisher, but he is an avid gamer and can ascertain what they are. Sam Boyd 4 from 2K, we believe to be Mafia 4 or a spinoff. Location and period set in Saint Fortuna, Las Vegas, and Lost Haven in multiple time periods. Main protagonist is a dirty cop named Hain, H-A-I-N, who gets involved in a gambling scam early on, and the game is very branching in terms of who you want him to be, crack down on the mob or join them. Secondary protagonist is a judge in Lost Haven whose missions will consist of trials and of mobsters. Career spans from the 40s to 80s. All right, so again, I'd like to take back the part where I said there's nothing like glaringly wrong about it. I despise starting it off like that. I think that's not, I mean, you do want to back yourself. Like, I'll talk about, by the way, we'll talk about the actual leaks, but I want to rationalize whether this is real or fake, right? Because sometimes people don't know. Whenever you start it off by saying something like that, I'm immediately inclined to believe you're lying. And it's actually kind of weird because you think, like, well, they're backing it up by saying how they know this stuff, right? That they have a connection in some way. But, like, I don't know. It just seems like most leakers that are respected in some way. Now, there's a lot of leakers that you kind of respect their leaks, but you don't respect them as people. But, you know, people that you take seriously in terms of leakers, you kind of just know they're telling the truth. So, I mean, because you kind of learn that they're just right consistently. Maybe not right every time, but they're right consistently enough where you just believe them. They don't need to start off by saying, yeah, so my best friend from high school, or a person I met at the, at the sweater shop or whatever, he works now, weirdly enough, he graduated from the sweater shop, and now he works for Warner Bros., right? It's like, those kind of things you don't need to say. So the fact that he says he has a close, and now, I don't know too much about the ESRB, but I know a little, and I don't even know if that part sounds right. So the close relative part, you don't need to say that. That makes you look pretty bad. And then when you say works at the ESRB, so what I believe and what I think I know, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, obviously the ESRB is the ratings board, right? I don't think they just get text, though. So they said they review text scripts from games, subtitles mostly. I don't think that's entirely true. I'm pretty sure they have to see a certain amount of hours of the game, and they need to, they kind of have to, I believe, they need to make like a presentation, the developers, and they need to give it to them, and it needs to show certain things that are in their game that they think would influence a rating. I do think there's words involved. I do think there's scripts involved, but I also think there is kind of like a visual presentation. Now, I could be wrong. I could just be making that up from the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure I read that before. That's what they do, and they rely on the developer including the things that they do believe would influence the rating of the game. So if it's like an M-rated game, or if it's not, if they're trying to pass it off for like a T for teen game, but there is bad stuff in it, but they don't show it, they get like massive fines. They get in massive trouble because you have to show that stuff so the ESRB can look at it and say, okay, this is the rating we're going to give it. So I don't get that part either, because I'm pretty sure there's more to it than just that. Also, the ESRB normally rates games kind of late in the process. Now, that doesn't mean that's impossible. Like Mafia 4 or a spin-off game could be happening within the next year. If it's happening like 2-3 years from now, I don't think the ESRB even would know about it right now. Okay, that's another, I guess, insider tip or something that I've learned. So unless the game comes out within the next year, I'd also think that's fake as well. The code names thing, I mean, I don't know. I will just say that. I wish I had an answer. I don't think that's true. I mean, I guess my personal opinion, but I take that for what you will, right? I feel like, why wouldn't you give the ESRB the actual name of it? So when you do The Last of Us Part 2, you have to disguise it. You have to give it a code name to give it to the ESRB. So I don't know about that one. I feel like that's a lie, but I'm not sure. And so the name is Sam Boyd 4 from 2K. We believe to be Mafia 4 or a spinoff. Now, here's the thing. Mafia 4 or a spinoff, I do think you would just go with Mafia 4. Now, the next thing they say is that it's taking place in Las Vegas. Now, if we remember, okay, this is a thing that also kind of stood out to me, is you can look at it both ways. Number one, you could take this as like a leak that backs up other leaks in the past, or you can take it, and how I may take it, as a leak that steals from leaks in the past. Because if you remember, even before, now this is actually the first times I was covering Mafia on this channel, before even the trilogy, before the remaster and the remake of 1, before that even happened, honestly, like 6 months before that happened, there were rumors of Mafia 4. Remember, originally people kind of thought that the next thing we would get from Mafia wasn't the Mafia trilogy, it was a new Mafia game altogether. And the rumor was it would take place in Las Vegas, and funny enough, it would take place from the 40s to the 80s, and it would be spanning multiple decades. You'd be able to kind of build your empire. It'd be a game that's a lot more detailed in that way, where you would kind of see things grow. So as you become more powerful, you truly see that, which I do, by the way. I don't think that's true anymore, because again, that was like 2 years old at this point, and we still haven't had anything. But and maybe it will happen eventually. I do like that idea, because one thing I haven't liked, I like Mafia 1 and 2 quite a bit. But one thing I didn't like so much about them, and obviously they're older games, is that it is very clear through both of them, really, that you and your brotherhood, kind of your gang, they become more powerful as the game goes on, as the years go on. But you don't. Besides cutscenes, and besides, like, I guess the area, like the one area that you're kind of in, like your safe spot, you really don't see yourself getting all that much more powerful. You know what I mean? I didn't get the sense that we really controlled more of the city, or people feared us or whatever. I didn't really get that sense. And again, older games, I don't really expect that. But in the future games, yeah, like if you're going to go through multiple decades, you're going to get more powerful and more rich and more intimidating. I would like to see, as you're driving around, like you kind of just feel, however you want to do it, I want you to feel that impact. And again, that's been mentioned in leaks. I don't know if any of those leaks are true. I feel like they're not, but that would just be a really cool thing to happen. And then again, I mean, they make up a name. That's fine. They make up like who the protagonist is. And when I say make up, as in it could be the real name, or it could literally just be a name that they came up with. It comes with a very branching in terms of who you want him to be, crack down on the mob or join them, because he's a dirty cop. There's a secondary protagonist, and it takes place over basically, I guess, 50 years in all. So, as always with these things, I didn't say this in the beginning, but I like talking about them, even if they, if you guys see this leak and you kind of like laugh at it and you say, oh my God, this is the stupidest, this is the most fake thing ever. I can't believe Alex gave it the time of day. I mean, I like to say this because I like doing this because I think it's fun. Firstly, that's my first reason. I enjoy making it. It's my video. But the bigger thing too is I think it is interesting to talk about, because even if these things don't end up happening, they can get us talking about the game. They get a lot of people talking about the game, and whether it's true or fake, right? And we can talk about, what would we change about what we heard in these leaks. But I would say it's just also more engagement in a property. I mean, if we don't talk about these leaks, and there's literally and nobody talks about anything about Mafia, right? And then it's kind of, number one, it's boring, but number two, there's not really anything going on Mafia related. And I think these developers and publishers, they do look at stuff. They see it if things are being talked about, and if things are kind of spreading, and if there's nothing out there, I don't know, I think that's kind of boring. So I will say, I didn't read that first sentence. I read the rest of it to myself, like, before I recorded this video. I don't know why I skipped that opening sentence, but it's probably the most important because I don't think you would get this stuff from the ESRB. I don't think he described the ESRB properly. Again, these are just my opinions. If you don't agree, leave the dislike. That's totally cool. And the close relative part, you do not. It's a really weird situation because, like, you do think you would need to back yourself up in terms of, like, okay, here's how I got it. Like, you're trying to show your evidence. It's just kind of weird in the era we're in. Not even just the era, but just the way other leakers do it. And they're kind of like the quote-unquote role models, where it's like they don't do that. We know they're right based off of their history. We don't know that they're right because they talk about their relatives and they talk about their connections to the gaming industry. I mean, they'll say, like, I interviewed, a group of people or, because of insider, whatever, but they don't go too far into it, right? Nonetheless, very interesting. Hopefully Mafia 4 does happen. I do think it will. But remember, they're making a new game first, unless they lied and that new game is a Mafia game, which I do think is actually possible, by the way. But it's kind of a 50-50. So either we get the game either in like 2-3 years, or we get the game in maybe like 5 to 6 years. The second one is not obviously as ideal. But let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Do you believe this leak? Do you think it's just a big fake thing? Let me know. As always, make sure, again, you guys are subscribed. Bell icon turn on so you know when all these videos go up. If I ever see anything on Mafia, or if you guys ever see anything on Mafia or anything else, I'll absolutely cover it, okay? Thank you for watching. I hope to see you all on the next video.